This man was killed because of 100 naira after only attempting to separate a fight, one that he did not start. We are talking about the killing of 38-year-old David Sunday Imo, a sound engineer and a father of two who lost his life to an angry mob of motorcycle riders on the 12th of May 2022 along Admiralty Way, Lekki, Lagos. This happened pretty much the same day Deborah Yakubu was lynched in Sokoto, and almost in similar fashion. Except this was not because of blasphemy, but because of 100 naira, which is 25 cents. And the worst part of it all is that the person who was killed was not even involved in the initial chaos that caused this whole tragedy. He was only going to help his friends, but he was the only one who ended up dead. So how did all of this happen? Now, this is what we know. David and his two friends, Philip and Frank, were said to have been booked for a show at a club or at a bar known as the Beer Barn along Lekki in Lagos. David had already made it to the bar or club, wherever that place was, and he was setting up his equipment waiting for his friends, Philip Balogun and Frank. At the same time, Philip and Frank were on a motorcycle heading to the venue. Now, before they took the motorcycle, they agreed with the bikeman that the payment would be 400 naira for the both of them. And so they set for Beer Barn. On getting to Beer Barn, they offered the bikeman 500 naira, requesting for 100 naira change. But the bikeman didn't have 100 naira. And these boys were pretty much late for where they were going to. So instead of walking around looking for change, they offered the bikeman 300 naira and assured the bikeman that they were regulars around the venue, and it won't be long before they'll find him again and give him his complete 100 naira. Unfortunately for them, the bikeman was not the learned type. He most likely did not understand the English they were speaking. So when the bikeman got his 300 naira and saw the boys walking towards the club, the bikeman came down from his vehicle and reached out to one of them, tearing their clothes instantly. And in that moment, it was said one of them swung at the bikeman, decking the bikeman to his face and causing the bikeman to slump. While all of this was going on, people were watching, other bikemen were looking, and instantly alarm was raised. And that was how things escalated. The boys were immediately dubbed Yahoo Boys and accused of attempting to use the bikeman for money rituals. Things only got worse from here. In an instant, bikemen began to troop at the site, and the two boys, Frank and Philip, were held by the mob and told to wake the bikeman up, because to them they assumed the bikeman was dead. And the reason why they actually assumed the bikeman was dead was because just a week ago, or just a week before this incident, one of their fellow bikemen was said to have slumped and died for no reason. And rumors began to spread that it was because the bikeman had dropped two Yahoo boys, and that it was those two Yahoo boys that killed that bikeman and used the bikeman for rituals. That story was still fresh when this one happened. So a lot of the bikemen were under the impression that this was the same situation as the previous one where the bikeman actually died. And that was why they were so vicious with these two boys. For some reason, they believed these were the two boys who even killed the previous bikeman. And so things just got heated. Just a reminder, the victim that we are talking about, Dave Imo, was not even outside at the time. He was still inside the building setting up equipment waiting for his friends, which would make you wonder, how was he the one that ended up being killed, stoned, beaten, and set on fire? Ow. Well, we're getting there. While Frank and Philip were being accosted by the angry bike mob along Admiralty Way in Lekki there, at night to be specific, because all of this was happening at night, the crowd was only growing on them, and they were forced to explain themselves to the mob that they were not Yahoo boys nor were they ritualists, that the bikeman was the one who attacked them first and they only defended themselves and the bikeman fainted. And so they were made to wake the bikeman, they were made to, resurrect the bikeman, because they all thought that the bikeman was dead. Obviously, the bikeman had fainted and his condition was not something that would easily just wake up like that. And while they were attempting to probably resuscitate the man, the angry mob was pouncing on them, beating them, accusing them of being ritualists, and calling them Yahoo boys. The boys even told the mob that they had a show at the Beer Barn there. They even had to call somebody from the Beer Barn, like one of the organizers, to confirm that, these boys were actually working at the Beer Barn and that they were not Yahoo boys. And this is where things got bad for them, because when they called the organizer of the Beer Barn, or when they called the people who invited them for the show at the Beer Barn, it was alleged that Beer Barn denied knowing the two boys. They claimed that the two boys were not scheduled to perform in their bar and that they've not even seen them before. And that was how things got worse for these two boys. Except they were not the ones who died. Now, Dave, seeing that his friends were stranded outside by a mob of angry bikemen, and realizing that the Beer Barn had denied knowing them, had no option but to go out himself to see if he can vouch for his friends. Apparently, that would be his only crime, to choose to speak up and help his friends from being lynched by this angry mob, only for him to be the only one ending up getting killed by that angry mob. So when Dave went outside to speak to the crowd, he was trying to help his friends. Things had already heated by that time. His friends were even being beaten. He tried to explain to the mob that he was the one invited by their band to perform at their club, but he couldn't do it by himself because, he had to invite his friends. Most likely he was the one who invited the two guys, saying that he was the sound engineer, saying that he was most likely the one that bear band could have hired, considering the fact that bear band themselves were denying the two boys. So I want to assume Dave was the one most likely hired by bear band, and Dave was the one who invited the other two boys to perform with him, which would most likely be why he felt the need to go out to help his friends out, saying that the entire establishment was not helping them. But unfortunately for Dave, things had already escalated. The friends were being beaten and stripped. He too was also being attacked and accused of being one of them, because clearly when you stand up for your friends, they will assume you are one of them. And it was almost difficult to reason to the mob of bikemen because many of them, as it was learned, were not even speaking English. From the video you would watch of the lynching, they were not speaking English. So I can imagine communication barrier playing a role in this tragedy. Even from the onset, when the two boys told the bikeman that they were regulars at the venue and that soon enough they would run into him and pay him his money completely, I don't think the bikeman would have understood that English, which would have led him to attack the boys, tearing their shirts, leading them to punching him to faint. Talking about faint, the bikeman soon woke up from his slump. He was sat up and revived, and clearly he was alive. You would think because the bikeman is alive at this point that this angry mob would leave these boys alone. But no, in fact, it only got worse. Because to the angry mob, the reason why the bikeman was alive was because they came to rescue him. They now deemed the whole thing a failed ritual attempt, making it look like these boys were actually using the bikeman for money rituals, but they failed. And things only got worse from here on. Beating for the boys doubled, including Dave himself. At this point, Dave has now seen that things has escalated. He could not help his friends. In fact, his life was also at stake. His friends were getting beaten, he was also getting harassed. Eventually, he would vanish out of the crowd and find a spot at a corner to hide for his life. I don't know why he didn't go back into bear band, but I would assume bear band must have closed their establishment at the time because they didn't want anything that was going on outside to affect their business, which may have been the reason why Dave couldn't have gone back. Maybe that was why he found somewhere else to go and hide. It was in his hiding that a lady spotted him, one of those food vendors closing up for the night, saw Dave hiding and screamed, shouting, raising alarm, drawing serious attention to him. That was how Dave was caught and assumed to be the mastermind of everything since he was the one hiding. He was instantly beaten and he was the first person that a tire was thrown around his neck and the fire was lit on him. At this time, his friends had already fainted on the floor. They had already been beaten. Philip and Frank were already in critical condition, probably at a corner watching their friend Dave getting set on fire. It's unclear how the crowd was dispersed or how the mob calmed down, but eventually Philip and Frank were taken to the hospital while Dave lost his life, all because of 100 naira, and all because he was trying to help his friends. As at the time of making this video, Philip and Frank are in the hospital receiving treatment. Dave is now a loss to be mourned. It's also being said that the police have also arrested 10 people in connection to the lynching of these boys and the killing of Dave Imo. A lot of people are calling out bear band and dragging them for the way they acted that night of the lynching. Many people are of the opinion that bear band could have done more, that they had the power to have saved the lives of those boys, including Dave, the person they hired to perform for them. But bear band is yet to give out any statement. Dave was a father of 2, and clearly his children do not have a father anymore. It's really just unfortunate because I personally cannot see how else this could have gone. Dave did the right thing by coming out to speak for his friends. He wouldn't have left them there. So it's not as if there was something he did that warranted this. This is a very painful tragedy, and to think it happened in Lekki, a supposedly advanced neighborhood. It's a shock. A very frightening one. It's almost as if there is nowhere that is safe now when it comes to jungle justice. So guys, let me know what you think. Let me know how else this could have gone. Share your thoughts in the comments below and share this video so more people can learn about the story of David Sunday Imo.